Hello and welcome to the Tinker Cards video gallery. Today I'm going to show you how to stamp with Brushos. Now Brushos are pigment powders and there are other makes around as well, and they come in like little tubs like this and they have different colours. And you can do all sorts with them. You can use them like watercolours, just colour your own papers with them by sprinkling them on your craft mat and spritzing with it. So I've got quite a few projects that I've done, and I should put links into the write-up about this video. But today it's really about how to sort of use them for stamping. Now I've made this card just as a trial run, and so I used these stamps, basically created my panel just using Brushos with stamps really. Now there are two ways you can use Brushos with your stamps. You can, if you have ideally a silhouette stamp, you can just sprinkle the powders on directly and then spritz them with water and stamp. Or you can do what we're going to do today. You can make yourself multicolored ink pads really, or Brusho pads, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, so this is basically what I used to make this card. And the stamps I used were the artsy tribal doodles by Stamplorations, and then I just used a die cut from the Cutplorations range and a sentiment from the chevrons and arrows set. So this is also going to be part of a project that I do. It's a spotlight project that I do for their blog, so hence it will be exclusively their project, their use of their I'll exclusively use their products. Apologies about my ramblings and mumblings. Okay, so how do you make your ink pad here? Now my old one, that was the one that I used, so it's just basically tissue that is damp and in some sort of container. Now this is a little bit narrow, even for one of my smaller acrylic blocks, so I had one of these trays, which I don't really use, so I just thought I'd give it a second lease of life. And for this little demo here, I'm going to use different colours because I used real red, yellow and leaf green for my card that I made. And now I'm going to work with blues. Let's just do so. I've got like tiny little holes. They're really very small, and I used one of these sort of pinny needles to put them in. Then the advantage of having these small holes is that you can be relatively precise on where you sprinkle your powders. So I'm just going to pop some on here. That's ultramarine. And they do sort of fly a little bit through the air, so be careful not to speak too much. So it's ultramarine, then I'm going to put turquoise right next to it. And you can already see how they sort of are starting to dissolve on the damp kitchen roller I got here. And then next to the turquoise, I'm going to put purple. Sorry, just pop these to one side. And what you can do is you can always go over it with a mister and spritz it again, which I'm just going to do now. Just give it a little squishy, make it a bit wetter, and that activates the colours a little bit more. Right, so that's my ink pad. Let's keep it about here so it's still on camera. And I'm going to get my little stamping mat, which I've got here. Just put a piece of scrap underneath. I couldn't bear sorry, stamping on it and getting it dirty. Well, that's just me. So I've got a piece of white card. I'm going to pop here so it's still on the camera. And then I'm going to get some stamps now. For my other panel, I was working with these here. So I thought it might be some sort of fun to start with some squares. So yeah, I was working with these here, so I didn't quite notice whether it went on camera, and I'm going to try and use some squares here and then do some little biddies on the inside. See where it's going to get us. Okay, so these are quite good, so you don't have to be careful. You can just take them out. Normally, if I got a frame and it's a little bit wobbly, I tend to drop them from a height and then pick them up with my block. But these are actually they're quite solid. Okay, so now what you've got to do is basically make a decision as to what's going to be your main two colors and then stick with them, and use the other one just for add-ons. So you need to be careful to just, if you're not cleaning your stamp in between, to just keep it pretty much approximately on the same colors. Otherwise you're just almost like contaminating your bits if you move about a bit, but then you might not mind. So you just tap on quite lightly, and can you see there is some ink on, there's some watercolor on there, or Brushos color, and then you just, oops, let's just see, that didn't seem to be any on, so I'm just going to see where this is going to take me. So what you do is, when you make this, get this sort of make your own ink pad like this, you will lose a little bit of detail from your stamps. So if they've got like little lines in or something, they probably won't come out, but you will gain a really fabulous watercolor look, as if you really spend hours doodling yourself. So let's just do that here. It's gone a little bit off, and let's just do that here. So I'm creating a bit more of a pattern with these. I just fancied the idea. It just seemed to be quite a good stamp to try that out with, really. So that's that. Oops, that was me smudging, but actually you don't see it that easily. You see it a little bit, but I can always cut it off and do something with it. So now I would actually go and wipe this off, because I'm going to put this away, and I've got to make my mind up which other stamp to use now. So I think I might use one of the squares. Let's just see, the more solid squares like this, to go in and try and get that in the ultramarine. Let's just use the bigger one here. I'm going for a smaller block, acrylic block, so they should sit quite nicely in here. Yeah, you're losing a bit of the detail, but it gives it a sort of a very interesting look. Then you go here. Oops. And you can see that sort of there is a shading depending on which colors you're using as well. It's because in certain parts they will be more intense than in others. So all I have to do is now go for this here and just pop a little bit in there. And then I'm going to wipe it, and I'm going to use that same stamp again. And this time I just try and use the turquoise only, which was about here. And stamp that in the center of my other squares. So that just goes in, and you can always of course overstamp it as well, which might be quite nice. Use a smaller stamp and then just overstamp this with the lilac. Really, it almost looks as if you've really taken some watercolor print or something. There we go. Okay, so that is one. I'm going to put this little stamp away now, and I think I'll get the smaller one of the same ones out, and I'll just add some purpley bits because it's gone a bit too blue, I think. So you really can play around with this. It's quite easy. It's basically just making your own, almost like watercolor ink pad. So let's just do something purpley. Let's do that here. And go here. Here. And then we got another one there. Right, this is probably what I'm thinking. It might not have been such a good idea, but I'm in experimenting mode, so I'll take it as it comes, really. It's actually turning out quite nicely. So that's my little watercolor panel pattern that I've stamped, and I can matte and layer it, or could cut it down as a background. So basically I can do with it pretty much whatever I want to. So this is basically it's stamping with Brushos. Quick and easy. So you probably can use them for outline stamps as well, which is something that I haven't tried yet. So let me just see if I've got one handy, and then I might just give it a try on a piece of card somewhere. Oh, right. So I'll take this out and put that to one side. I'm just going to turn this over because I might be able to use that side, and then I can die cut from that. So I'm going to use the big buttercup from the Buttercups and Butterflies set. So it might look quite actually rather nice, just very loosely watercolor stamped. So just to give you another idea here. Oops, that's gone on the floor, never mind. So right, so that's my stamp here, the big one. And I'm thinking I might want to have a bit of that way around. So I've got a bit of purple, a bit of turquoise, and the ultramarine at the lower end of the stem. So that's how I want it. And remember not to press too hard because it will take up too much water then. So let's just see what this is going to turn out like. Let's pop that to one side and just pop this on now. Okay. It's a little bit big. I only got quite a small disc, so space at times is at a premium. Right. So there you go. That's the buttercup. Just try and give it another one. Actually, I rather like that effect. So let's just move that out of the way. I'm really sorry about this. I don't know where this has just come from. Let's put one here. There you go. And I'm going to get a third one. Yeah, make sure that you wipe off any droplets off your acrylic blocks when you do that. So I'm just going to give that a little corner here, like that. I'm going to stamp another one in the center, and then I can make something like a little something out of it. But whatever it is, it will all be on my blog, and actually more than my blog, it will be on the Stamplorations blog next week, when this is all going to go live. So I'll put the details in, and I'll put the links in with in the write-up as well. So there you go. So I can now quite die cut this, and then I have like make another flower there and just see what I do with it. It will be a nice soft card, I assume. So well, that's basically stamping with Brushos. I'm just going to, so you got your outline stamping, and the buttercup is actually really good because it's got quite a bold outline, so it takes up quite some nice colour there. And then you got a little stamped panel here. Now it's dried, you can actually really see sort of the patterns. And this was one I made earlier. Okay, so thank you for watching Stamping with Brushos, and I shall be back soon. Have a lovely day, and thanks for your continued support too.